Hey, how's everybody doing today? So I'm just getting my technology set up here. Okay, technology is getting set up. I'm just trying to make sure if you comment that I can see it, because who knows, whatever. Okay, maybe I'll be able to see it. Today we're going to talk about sleep and its impacts on weight loss and just the impacts of sleep in general after 40. So if you're here catching it live, I'd love to see a live. Where are you from? How are you doing? Is everybody, if you're in Minnesota here, enjoying the fantastical weather? Dog and I are headed out for a walk here as soon as I am done today. We're just going to give everyone a minute to grab their lunches and hop on. If you are catching the replay, I am so glad you found your way back. Be sure to give me a hashtag replay. Let me know where you're from. And all throughout the whole thing, guys, be sure to drop your questions in the comments. I will circle back if you're catching the replay. I will do my best to catch the questions while I'm on. I'll stay on as long as I need to today to answer your questions if you are here. Hey, Danica, how are you doing? I'm so glad you're able to be here. Hey, what's your next book? I think book club is coming up on my turn pretty soon. Thanks. I appreciate that. It's the blue, I'm positive. Quick disclaimer for all video purposes. I am not a doctor. I don't play one on the internet, but I know a lot of stuff. So I will do my best to answer everything that's coming up, okay? Be sure to hang on till the end where I've got some exclusive bonuses and pricing and whatnot, and it'll only be for you guys who actually watch the video. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Denise Willick-Peterson. I am the leader of the Menopause Project, creator of the Use Your Cycle method. I have been a certified personal trainer for the last 18 plus years, working with hundreds and hundreds of women in that time. I became a certified hormone coach about 6 years ago, training with Dr. Sarah Gottfried and Dr. Jade Teta. But why hormones? Because we've all got them. Because sometime in my late 30s, my twin daughters were teens and we had hormones galore, and the rage and the tears and the emotions that were going on at that time were just crazy. And combine that with what some of my female clients started hinting at led me to explore this whole, oh, what is menopause? Because why is no one talking about menopause? Did you know menopause happens to half the population if you are so lucky to live this long? Why aren't we talking about it? So here I am ready to talk about it. I started applying some of my protocols and principles to my female clients, and then I started Hormone Bootcamp, which is the online or the in-gym version of what I do online now. And the women who went through those first hormone boot camps, when they started applying the protocols, their brains started to work again. They started to sleep all night again. They experienced their boobs lifting, their butt lifting, their pants started falling off, all the good things, sparks with their husbands, stuff like that, all kind of started happening. And it just leads me to the absolute dismay, because half of us go through menopause. And by half, I mean, the female half. Why does menopause have to be so horrible? Where did this belief system come from? And how can we change it? What can I do to help shift the perception of menopause? I just don't think it should have to be a horrible experience. Now, when we combine this with the 15 plus years I've had teaching with the over 65 crowd, I have seen how good habits throughout life lead to healthier old ages. In fact, at one point, I carded a 92-year-old in my class because he kept insisting he was 92. And I was looking at him going, 70, give me a break. He was 92. Or let's take, for example, Ernestine Shepherd. Maybe you're familiar with her. Back in 2010, she held the Guinness Book of World Records for oldest female performing bodybuilder. Guess when she started bodybuilding? right after her and her 56-year-old sister were swimsuit shopping. They decided to join a gym. And that just led her to being a very fit, phenomenal woman. You should look her up sometime. She's amazing, you guys. Absolutely amazing. So, 2 truth bombs. 1, it is never too late to make big changes. And 2, it's not going to happen overnight, but consistency always beats perfection. Just getting going is what we need to do. Okay? So my goal for today is to talk about sleep and to talk about weight loss and how the two play together, right? Sleep is actually so important that it has its own protocol in my Use Your Cycle method. So it's a big deal, okay? Because it turns out that somewhere between the ages of 8 and 38, sleep just kind of got pushed aside, shortened and shortened and shortened to make more room for life. Until we don't even think about sleep. We don't prioritize sleep. It's something that we squeeze in at the end of the day. But today is your invitation to examine your sleep habits, your beliefs, and maybe even start experimenting with your own sleep. So we're going to lay it all out there today. The benefits of a good night's sleep, the dangers of too little sleep, because some people are more motivated by that than the benefits. Dangers, those are a big deal. Some of the uncommon causes of insomnia, why we have so much upheaval during perimenopause and menopause, how to support your night with great sleep hygiene, and how to create your own custom bedtime and bedtime routine. So as we go along, make sure you drop any of your questions in the comments, okay? First question, how many hours of sleep do you guys average a night? How many hours of sleep? Drop them in the comments. I'm genuinely curious how much sleep everybody's getting. Personally, after years of trial and error, I opt for at least 8.25 hours of sleep. What about you? 5, 6, 7? Because I will tell you, I did not always get 8.25 hours of sleep. I used to get up at 4 a.m. All right, so a good night's sleep is scientifically proven to be 7 to 9 hours every single night. 6 to 7. That's not bad. It's better than a lot of people. The benefits to your brain and body when you get 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night are a stronger heart, increased physical performance, especially in the realm of exercise, right? Or, if you're a firefighter, right? Sleep helps prevent some cancers through melatonin. Melatonin helps combat some cancers. So we need to get that during sleep. With more sleep, body repair time is increased and then improved. It helps combat the effects of stress, toxins, and UV rays. So if you're a little concerned about those, a little bit of wrinkles going on here, start increasing your sleep to help repair the damage that's causing the wrinkles. It increases immunity. It also helps improve the efficacy of vaccines. It helps prevent weight gain. It improves your mood. It improves your productivity, your concentration, and your memory. Oh, we'll talk about interrupted sleep today too, Val. Stay tuned, it's coming. Now here in Minnesota, we have a popular coffee shop whose slogan is, "You can sleep when you're dead." I am here to let you know you will be dead a lot sooner if you don't get some sleep. So, and don't get me wrong, I enjoy coffee. The thing is with sleep, it's more than about just a few pounds or having too much coffee. There's some pretty big dangers to not getting enough sleep. For example, did you know that if you get 5 hours of sleep or less a night regularly, you are 4 times more likely to die in a car accident or to have a car accident? If you get 6 to 7 hours of sleep, you're only twice as likely to get in a car accident. This has to do with slower reaction time. I've also read that drowsy driving is the equivalent of drunk driving. And this fact actually scared me into re-examining my own sleep habits a few years back. And I rearranged my bedtime and everything in order to not have that drowsy/drunk driving effect. Now, there's also the increased risk of heart attacks. You combine that with the decreased hand-eye coordination that is caused by not enough sleep, and this is why we do not schedule elective surgeries on Monday mornings, because doctors are not immune to this effect, right? Exactly. Yeah. And then there's the brain stuff. When we sleep, our brains process the information we learned during the day and file it, and also help store memories. So it isn't any wonder then that, generally speaking, as we get older, we sleep less. And we'll talk about why. And in sleeping less, then we become more forgetful? No. This is just cause and effect. And it doesn't have anything to do, well, okay, it has everything to do with aging. And yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah. Impaired decision making, right? When the brain can't concentrate and can't focus, those lobes of the brain, it's like we're teenage boys again. Again, we were never teenage boys, but it's like we're teenage boys, right? We have the same inability to process things. And then there's the increased rate of depression, right? For me, the way this shows up is if I string too many nights of poor sleep or shortened sleep, then I am not nearly as productive. I can't get as much done during the day, and it just leads to an ongoing spiral downward of depression. So there's some big things here, right? It's not just a matter of the dark circles under my eyes that are happening because I'm not sleeping. But we did say this was going to be about weight loss. So, few things here to take note of: the hormones in relation to weight loss. First of all, estrogen and progesterone do play roles in your sleep. During the estrogen half of your cycle, you will be more likely to lay in bed awake, right? Like your head will hit the pillow. And during the progesterone phase, you can go to sleep pretty quickly, but you're going to see 1 to 3 a.m. pretty regularly, right? So first of all, estrogen and progesterone play into it. Now, some of the other hormones that play into it are ghrelin. Ghrelin leads to an increased hunger, which leads to increased weight. Why? Because it incites a hunger response for carbs. Not like do we ever crave, oh, I want a steak? Not unless you've been without steak for a really long time, right? So why do we crave carbs? Think about that afternoon crash, right? And it's like, oh, what do I need just to get me through the afternoon? A donut, a candy bar, an energy drink, right? It's something like that. You're not craving, oh, let me go have some carrots. Your mind might tell you to go have some carrots, hopefully, but it's got to do with the carb craving, because what happens when you have a candy bar? Sugar boost, energy spike, gets you through the afternoon. What else happens with the sugar boost? An insulin boost. What happens with the insulin boost? Store the carbs around your middle. So we want to prevent the ghrelin increasing, right? Second, the other thing we might crave if sugar isn't a thing is fats. Not usually good ones. And what's your body going to do with those? It is going to store them around the middle. So increased ghrelin, no good. Another thing that happens is your leptin decreases. Your leptin is the hormone responsible for letting you know you are full, that you are satisfied. If you don't get that cue that you are full, you will keep eating beyond fullness, right? Now, let's think this through. This is why so much bedtime snacking happens, right? You're starting to get tired, but it's not time for bed, or you still have something, right? So you eat something. Probably it's a sugar thing because your ghrelin increased, because it's trying to tell you you're going to die. You're so hungry, right? Your leptin decreased, and so you're not feeling full. For real, if you start recognizing this pattern in yourself, have a protein shake and go to bed. Have a protein shake, go to bed. Something else that could be happening is when we get less and less sleep, our stress levels go up, right? Because too little sleep is a stressor on the body. Stressors on the body increase cortisol, right? This leads to fight or flight, no energy, and cravings. Again, cravings. What should you do? Have a protein shake and go to bed. have a protein shake and go to bed. Have you ever caught yourself using a snack to stay awake? Whether that be in the middle of the afternoon or you're just going to stay up for one more show? So the next here seems like it should be obvious, like what are the symptoms of sleepiness? But maybe not all of them, right? I mean, yawning. Either you're lacking oxygen or you're tired, right? Or you're tired in the afternoon, daytime fatigue. It's a sign of sleepiness. Lack of concentration and forgetfulness, right? We already talked about it. It affects the brain function when you're tired. So you start forgetting things. You start, oops, I was supposed to be on that meeting at 1 in the, I've got to start not doing these at 1 in the afternoon. There we go, right? Anxiety increases. The sleepier we get, your anxiety increases. And hallucinations. I mean, let's think about this. We've used keeping people awake as a form of torture for years and years and years. It causes hallucinations, bad decisions. Now, I'm sure there are a lot of you here that are like, yeah, Denise, but, yeah, I get it. Not all sleeplessness is voluntary, right? Sometimes we have got sleep disorders like sleep apnea, or we're snorers, we snore, or our spouse snores, right? So that can cause sleeplessness. Or maybe you are a shift worker or have obligations to be to work a little bit earlier than most people or a little bit later than most people, right? Thanks to the invention of the light bulb, we're able to get up and work when it's still dark outside. Unfortunately, dark is what triggers best sleep, right? So either you work around that, we find workarounds, or we change our shift, right? You might have personal stuff going on. Like maybe you have a new baby. Maybe you're caring for a family member. Yeah, some of mine is, but not all of it. Maybe it's this old belief that we don't go to bed until after the news, or adults don't go to bed at 8 o'clock or something like that. Or maybe it's just some unexamined behaviors. Like, I just got to watch one more show, just one more show, just one more show. My husband says that a lot, just one more show. Or maybe you have a night where you regularly go out dancing, or dart leagues or pool leagues, something like that. Anybody? Do you guys have any of these things going on at night that you've never really thought about? Geez, that's contributing to my sleeplessness? Only me. My husband and I met dancing, and we played in a dart league for a very long time. And finally I had to say, honey, we got to find an afternoon. We found a Sunday afternoon dart league. And that helped a lot. Did you know there is a perfect time to be in bed? Scientifically proven, a perfect time to go to bed. What time do you think that is? Any ideas on when the perfect time to be in bed is? I'm going to cock that other eyebrow. The perfect time to be in bed, not be headed to bed, be in bed, is from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. It has got to do with melatonin production and cortisol. Now, melatonin helps you get to sleep. Melatonin is triggered by darkness. 9 p.m. You're pretty close. That's probably when you should start getting ready for bed. Okay, so melatonin helps get you ready to sleep. It helps you to get to sleep. It is triggered by darkness. And if we are up past its peak production time, which is around 10 p.m., then we're not going to fall asleep as quickly, right? You need to be in bed ready to fall asleep as that melatonin production reaches its peak, right? So, think about it. You're up at night, you're starting to get sleepy, but you push through it, whether it's for a snack or whatever, you push through it, and then as you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go to bed, and suddenly you realize you've got this second wind going on and you're all wound up. What happened? Your melatonin started to increase, but because you didn't go to bed, maybe you stayed up in the light, kept your screens going on in your eyes or something, the melatonin crashed and you got your second wind. So there you go. If you need a second wind, put the phone in your face, get that blue light going on, right? But that's going to make it harder for you to fall asleep later because now your melatonin is crashed for the night. And then around 4 a.m., your cortisol levels are supposed to help wake you up because cortisol is supposed to increase. Cortisol is not always a bad guy, no matter what I say for the most part, but between 4 and 6 a.m., your cortisol is intended to rise as the sun rises and help wake you up. So that is why you want to be able to be in bed as best you can before 10 p.m. So you're in bed for that peak melatonin shot. And if you can stay in bed until after that 4, 5, 6 a.m. cortisol shot to help wake you up, that's best. Some people actually have one of those light boxes that they set to start increasing before they go to bed so that the light helps trigger that cortisol, right? It's kind of that artificial sun. So, all right, let's set the stage now for a perfect night's sleep, right? So sleep starts with the perfect stage. What's going on around you? First and foremost, the biggest help in getting to sleep is to take all of the screens out of your bedroom. No TV, no phone, no computer, no iPads, no nooks. All the screens out of your bedroom. Okay? The reason, twofold reason, right? First of all, the blue lights, right? Everybody's got their blue light blockers now. Well, do you keep wearing them in bed? Regardless, keep your screens out of your bedroom, right? So the blue lights block melatonin production. So for those of you that are saying, I lay in bed and scroll until I fall asleep, you would fall asleep faster if you put the screen down. Same with the TV. The electromagnetic field, EMFs, electromagnetic field somethings, right? Again, helps suppress melatonin production. Get the screens out of your bedroom, period. Get them out. Next thing would be room darkening curtains. Is your room dark enough? Okay? I read a book years ago by T.S. Wiley, and she was conducting sleep studies, and she would bring people in and have a completely dark room, completely dark. And then she'd take a little pen light and she'd put it behind the back of their knees. So not even in their eyes, in the back of their knees. And they found that it dramatically reduced the melatonin production. Just that little bit of light behind your knees. Now, how many of us go to bed, we think our room is totally dark, but we get up usually to pee in the middle of the night and go, wow, my way is totally lit by this alarm clock, that charging station, you know, all the little things, the light on your smoke detectors, right? You got to like shut all that down. You got to shut it all down. Put the room darkening curtains up so the street lights don't come in, but you've got to cover the rest of it up, right? So when I read this experiment, I went around and went, oh, okay, so now my husband and I both cover our alarm clocks up. I've put a little piece of electrical tape over that red dot on the smoke detector. We've removed all the charging stations. Everything is out of our room, right? So bring it down as best you can. Another reason for room darkening curtains might be, like my husband is a shift worker. So in the summertime, he's going to bed at 5 o'clock at night. Between the dogs and the kids and the sunlight, we need those room darkening curtains, right? The darker the sleep, the darker the room, the better the sleep, right? A couple other things you want to think about. Let's look at your bed. Is it big enough? Or are you and your bedmate knocking elbows every time you turn over? Or is your dog sleep down between your feet and you need the dog bump out? I saw a realtor posted recently, spoiled pets, right? And it was showing a bedroom and it had a dog bump out, right? And I'm thinking, spoiled pets, my butt. That's spoiled owners. They got that dog a bed all its own. Get a bigger bed. It's going to help you sleep, right? Or is your back, are you waking up with a sore back every night? Could be time to replace your mattress, right? I mean, you never know about those things until all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, this mattress is 15 years old. New mattress. Next thing, check your pillow. If you're waking up with a sore neck every morning, it's not the right pillow for you. It's either old, it's too fat, it's too flat, it's too whatever, but it's not right. Okay? Next, blankets. This could be a super easy fix to your temperature thing, right? Are you too hot? Take a blanket off your bed. Are you too cold? Put a blanket on the end of your bed. Super easy fix, right? And then that leads into room temperature in general, right? What is the perfect sleep temperature? I got no scientific proof on this because I'm not going to follow it, even if I did, right? Now, my husband and I kind of like our house a little bit warmer, but we have finally played with it. 1 degree a night, right? We'd get into bed, and if the house was set at 72 degrees, both of us waking up in the middle of the night, uncomfortable, tossing and turning, right? That was no good for us. But I also am not like a 65-degree person, right? You know, with that good cotton sheet thing, bamboo sheets, even better. I love our bamboo sheets. And we got them up at the freight store, guys. Anyway, so in order to find that perfect temperature, what we did is just over the course of a couple of weeks, maybe week and a half, we just set the temperature 1 degree cooler each night until we found a temperature that was good, kept going, and then was like, okay, now that one was too cold. So now for us, we know 67, 68 degrees in the wintertime. In the summertime, it's warmer for us, right? So get your good room temperature going on. Again, noise. Like I said, my husband goes to bed pretty early, and in the summertime, we make sure there's a fan going or some white noise in the background because of all the kids and the dogs out in the neighborhood yet, right? So you want to play with the white noise factor. Another thought, bed is not the place for heated discussions and tough topics. Argue somewhere else. Now, I know if you've got kids at home, it's like you don't want to argue in front of the kids, and waiting till bedtime, that's not the appropriate place either. Send the kids out, go for a walk with your spouse, whatever, but keep those heated topics out of bed. That's setting you up for a bad night, right? Then, no eating in bed. That song, "You Can Eat Crackers in My Bed Anytime," is what popped up into my head. No, you can't. Bed is for sleep and maybe sex. I mean, there's lots of places for that, right? Bed is for sleep. So you need to start making those mental connections that when I go to bed, I'm tired. Because if you always go to bed with a snack, then you're going to start going to bed and you're going to lay down and you go, oh, wait, I'm hungry. I eat in my bed. I need to go make a sandwich. So we need to cut that out. We need to make those associations that bed means sleep. And then, this is a big one. This is the last one, it's a big one. Start paying attention to what you're drinking before you go to bed and when you're drinking it. Some of the obvious, not obvious ones. Quit drinking your coffee and your energy drinks before bed, right? Excuse me. Should be 8 to 12 hours before bed. There's some pretty good research that shows that most of us don't have the MTHFR gene that helps us process the caffeine out of our system, so that even more than 1 cup of coffee is actually affecting our sleep. Now, you may have built up a tolerance, but trust me, if you can get rid of it and get the caffeine out of your system, you'll be like, oh my God, I was sleeping like shit. Just a thought. So make sure the caffeine in the energy drinks stop well before bedtime, 10, 12, 14 hours before bedtime, guys. Seriously, get up, have your coffee, be done with it. Next up, wine. Hey, Denise, I use wine. It helps me sleep. It may help you get to sleep, but it is also one of the things responsible for waking you up at 1, 2, 3 in the morning, right? What happens is wine, alcohol, beer increases our blood sugar levels, which creates insulin, causes the insulin to spike, which causes your body to crash. When your blood sugar crashes, your body wakes up. Danger, 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 blood sugar crash, we're going to die. And then you lay there awake. Quit with the booze before bedtime. Like if you're having sleep problems, I'm not here to tell you you have to quit wine all the time, but I am here to tell you that wine might be what's keeping you awake, so now you can't play the victim on that one anymore. To play with it, test it out. But Denise, there's water. You say water is good for you. Yes, I do. And do I want to be up every 2 hours in the night peeing because I drank water right up till bedtime? No, I'm so over that. Start playing with the timing of that last glass of water. When is the last point, you can have it and make it through the night without having to get up and pee. Now, this might also mean you have to start playing with when that first cup of water is, right? So if you cut out the coffee, 14 hours before bedtime, that's like get up, have your coffee, start drinking water, right? And then you can get your water in early enough if you've got like a 2 or 3 liter a day goal, right? But then you can start weaning off of it before bedtime so that you have a better night's sleep, right? Another trick I tell a lot of my Use Your Cycle Method clients is you don't have to quit drinking coffee or wine or whatever, but between every beverage that isn't water, you have to drink water. So if you drink 12 ounces of coffee, you need to drink 12 ounces of water before your next coffee. If you have 5 ounces of wine, you have to drink 5 ounces of water afterwards before your next wine, right? So have those things playing in your mind. But might I recommend a good 3 hours before bedtime, you kind of quit guzzling the water. Anybody having a major aha yet during this? What is your major aha if you're having it? Tiniest bit of light, I can't sleep. Yeah, that I've gotten to that point too. Yeah, kids won't believe you that the tiniest bit of sleep. Nope, they won't. But have them look up blue lights. If they wear blue light blockers, Susie, have them question them why they're bothering with the blue light blockers, because that's part of what's keeping them awake. Red dots drive me nuts. Yes, black electrical tape is amazing. My husband actually got pissed at me when he first discovered I did that. But I went back and put all the black tape on it. The snack before bed. Yeah, have a protein shake and go to bed. Seriously, if you're just doing it to keep awake. Or start with protein, just like all the other rules I always say, right? Go ahead and eat whatever you want, but start with protein. Okay, now I'm gonna lay out the basics for a great bedtime routine and finding your custom bedtime in just a minute here, right? But I wanna make sure you hear about my Hormone Habits for a Healthy Holiday program that I have specifically designed especially for this time of year, right? So I'd like to believe 2020 is already got enough upset and disruption, but maybe the disruption can actually be of a benefit to you right now. It's a great time to try new things, right? Maybe you're not ready for a full-on life-changing Use Your Cycle Method one-on-one coaching intense protocols things. And maybe you recognize that there's 2 months left of this year before New Year's resolution time, and you could probably make some changes, right? Maybe instead of gaining the 8 to 15 pounds that are pretty typical right now, you just don't gain weight, right? Could be like that. So the Hormone Habits for Healthy Holidays, the H4 program, is the program you might want to start work. It's the groundwork to using your cycle, right? It's the supporting your cycle before you use your cycle. In the program, we take 8 weeks. I hold you accountable to the 6 foundational pieces of balancing your hormones and supporting your hormones, right? These pieces are going to help you significantly reduce holiday weight gain, holiday anxiety and depression, acid reflux, and toxin buildup. In real world speak, what that means is you're going to feel rested, you're going to feel calm, you're not going to feel bloated, you're going to feel invigorated and maybe even energized as you breeze through gift shopping and treat making and attending some of those intimate gatherings, right? Enjoying the holiday specialties like lutefisk, right? Each week during the 4-H program, the H4 program, we'll introduce a simple piece for you to work on that week and report in on your progress. I'll give you short, super short video tutorials, quick read PDF reminders, and a picture you can use on the lock screen to help you remind you of what you're working on during the week, right? There's also 2 weeks built in for catching up, for assimilation, for, because we're all busy during the holidays and we need just a little bonus time to make it all work, right? All of this so when the holidays pass, you can still fit into your pants, but also so you can start the new year out relaxed and physically in a great place to start working on your goals. Maybe even ready to use your recently supported cycle for bigger goals like improved moods, increased libido, and bigger weight loss instead of just weight maintenance. So the H4 program starts whenever you're ready to start. The emails just come weekly. And the introductory investment is only good though through November 14th. So if you think you want to get started, at least get started before the 14th. If you're wanting support through the holidays, send me a message. You can drop it in the comments or send it in Messenger, and I'll get you all the details on this, okay? Now, let's find your custom bedtime and a great bedtime routine, okay? So just like kids have a bedtime routine to help them go to sleep, it works for adults too. Now, for those of you who are familiar with me, I had my kids pretty young. I was in my early 20s when I had my twin daughters, and bedtime sucked. Bedtime sucked. It was like a 2 or 3 hour ordeal every single night. It was awful. Now, my niece is only 8 years old. And when I first went down to start watching her, my sister gave me this list. Okay, Denise, half hour before bedtime, you have a snack. Then you go turn off the TV and you go put your jammies on. Brush your teeth, go potty, read 2 books, not 3, not 1, 2 books. Turn on the fan, turn on the white noise lullaby machine, put her to bed. Okay. Now, remember, that's not what I did with my kids. I didn't know any better. That child, honest to God, was sound asleep in 5 minutes. Five minutes. So 30 minutes ramp up time to get to bed. But when her head hit that pillow, like she didn't ask for a 3rd book. When her head hit that pillow, she was out cold in 5 minutes. Same thing applies to adults. If you start getting yourself ready and setting the stage for a good night's sleep, an hour and a half, an hour, 30 minutes even before bedtime, you're going to fall asleep faster. Then the other thing I want to talk about is beliefs, like bedtimes. As I grew up, my dad always stayed up and watched the weather, watched the 10 o'clock news till the weather. Bedtime for him was like 10:22. So what did I grow up learning? Adults don't go to bed before the weather, right? 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, those are bedtimes for adults, not 8 o'clock. Bedtime is the time when you get the best amount of sleep for you and your obligations, right? Now, how do you figure out your perfect amount of sleep? Now, there's a couple ways to do this. In the absolute perfect world, you have a 2-week staycation coming up, and you can do it this way. You go to bed the same time every night, and you start tracking what time you naturally wake up. And you're gonna have to do that for 4 or 5 days, as your body gets that first bonus amount of sleep, right? And then starts evening out. Now, assuming you don't have a 2-week staycation coming up, the other way to work it is you get up at, let's say your wake up time is 6 a.m. You get up at 6 a.m. every morning and you adjust your bedtime. So if you're normally going to bed at 11 o'clock, the next day you want to go to bed at 10:45 and then 10:30 and then 10:15, 10, right? You adjust it by 15 minutes until you start waking up 3-4 days in a row at just before your alarm goes off, right? So if you normally have to be up at 6 o'clock, you want to be naturally waking up 5:50, 5:55. What time did you have to go to bed to naturally start popping your eyes open at that time? Then you go, how many hours was that? Was it 7 3/4? Was it 6? Was it 8? Was it 8 1/4? Was it 9? How many hours do you need? Now, so what time do you need to get up in the morning? Work backwards. What is your custom bedtime? What is your custom bedtime? I did this a few years ago. I did have a staycation. And as goofy as this sounds, right? Turns out, I was getting up at 4 a.m. 10 p.m. was not an appropriate bedtime for me. Yeah, I did this. You know what time is an appropriate bedtime for me? 7:45. 7:45. I really, really struggled to let go of those bedtime beliefs. But in less than a week of going to bed at 7:45 every night, I loved mornings again. Loved them. Love, love, love. So when do you think you can conduct your own personal sleep study? Just saying. It's something to think about. I'd love to check back in with you. Drop it in the comments. I'll check back in with you in a couple weeks. So now that you know what your perfect amount of sleep is and your custom bedtime is, how do you get ready for bed? Yes, I do understand that some evenings you have activities and you have obligations that prevent you from going to bed at whatever this time is, like 7:45. If you've got kids that you are having to run around after 7:45 or going to high school sports or whatever, I get it. It can be harder. No lie, an empty nest makes it a lot easier. But let's start thinking outside the box here. What can shift? Maybe instead of having to pick your kid up from practice at 8:30 every night, maybe you can alternate with your partner. Maybe you can create a kids carpool among the parents so that you don't have to be the one getting up every night. Maybe it's time for the kid to get their license. Just saying. Another thought, maybe you bring someone in a couple nights a week so you can get some sleep, because it is that big a deal, right? We've talked about the dangers, we've talked about the benefits. It is that big a deal. All right, so 10 ideas coming up now for a perfect routine. You don't have to do all 10 of them, but if you even incorporate a couple of them so that you can be like my niece, that when her head hits the pillow, she's out because she's had that wind down period. Number 1, and this is actually a big deal, and I would highly, highly recommend incorporating this one. Shut your phone off. Your iPad, your Nook, your computer, your TV. Shut it all off. Biggest reason, because the blue light is hindering the melatonin production. So it's hindering the hormones that are even going to help you get to sleep, right? Second thing, if you're a worrier, if you go to bed and you start worrying, or you start making that mental checklist of all the things you need to do in the morning. Oh, I need to remember to pack this one in their lunch, and I need to get this, and I didn't do that. As part of your wind down process, make tomorrow morning's list. Or round up what you're going to wear tomorrow. Make sure the lunches are all packed. Have everything in order so that you don't have to think about those things and remember them all night long, right? The mornings or the nights when I go to bed with stuff like remember this, it falls in my dreams. It's so weird, right? Another way to calm your mind is with a nightly gratitude or journaling practice. So I try to sit down with real paper notebook, right? And write 10 things that happened to me today that I'm grateful for, right? Get the mind working on things you're grateful for. For some people, a warm bath or a shower might be perfect. Reading a real paper book, also a great idea, but it's gotta be a real paper book, not on the Nook, not on your iPad because of those melatonin black and blue lights, right? Maybe a small cup of herbal tea, but let's remember our pee countdown, right? Maybe it starts even earlier in the day by getting more movement into your day. Maybe it's a walk or a stroll. Maybe it's a full-on strength workout routine. But if you're gonna do a full-on strength workout routine or cardio workout, make sure you have at least 3 hours before bedtime. Because what happens when you do a strength workout or a cardio workout is it boosts your cortisol levels and your testosterone levels, making it harder to go to sleep. So keep that in mind. But that doesn't mean you can't start that earlier in the day so that you're more tired by bedtime, right? Leave those heated discussions for earlier, right? Plan a walk with your honey and get those heated discussions out of the way. On the opposite end of that, don't save the big O fun time for bedtime. Go to bed earlier, or do it some other time of day. Afternoons are great. Mornings are great. Just saying. You need the O's, but don't save it for like sleep time. Go to bed earlier for that. And then if you are caring for others, call in the help once or twice a week, maybe even just on the weekends, right? So you can get a good night's sleep, not so you can go out. Anyway, I can't wait to see what you come up with. I'd love to see you drop it in the comments or shoot me a message and tell me what you decided, what came up for you. Excuse me. Now, I'm going to stay on for any questions that you do have. I don't think I've been seeing questions come up, but if you have any questions, drop them in the comments right now. Like I said earlier, this is the teeniest, tiniest step of some of the things I do with my Use Your Cycle Method clients. And now is the perfect time to use the 2020 disruption to improve your holiday experience. If you're looking for the H4 program, Hormone Habits for Healthy Holidays, it's 8 weeks with 6 tweaks, only adding things. We're not subtracting a single thing. I'm not going to take any cookies away from you, so that you can have a rested, calm, anxiety-free holiday season, right? Let me know about that, because the only place I'm announcing that there's an introductory price is on these videos, but it does gonna expire. It's going to expire on the 14th of November if you think this is something you're curious about. Make sure you're dropping those questions. I want to thank you so much for being here today. As far as the investment level goes on that H4, yeah, I know it's the holidays. And the investment is big enough that you'll pay attention, but not so big you're going to break the bank. Okay, let's see. How does this work with your cycle? I have crazy insomnia during certain times of the month, as well as during, I'm going to guess that says a full moon. Yes, a full moon. Okay, so my first question is, are you paying attention, Danica, to, like, is it the first 2 weeks of your cycle, so your period to ovulation, estrogen phase? What happens then? Are you not getting to sleep, or are you awake in the middle of the night? Or does that happen in a second? Or is it one of each? Is it, I can't get to sleep for 2 weeks and the other 2 weeks I'm awake at 1 o'clock, right? So first fill me in on that. Full moon. Yeah, my kid thought I was crazy till she started working 911. Full moon is that big a real effect. So I can't help you with the full moon necessarily. My best case scenario is that actually at some point your cycle starts to line up with the lunar cycle and you get your best sleep then, right? Okay, so how does this work? Yeah, so with your cycle, what happens is usually during the estrogen phase, you can't get to sleep. So if we can build in those good bedtime habits, at the very least, you've got that working for you. Okay. Thanks for being here, Susie. I appreciate it. Are bamboo sheets cooling? So all of the bamboo sheets I bought say they help decrease the bed temperature by 2 to 3 degrees. I mean, I don't know if I'm like, ooh, my sheets are cold. Like, right? Like when you put flannel sheets on and you're like, ooh, my sheets aren't cold. I don't know that I go, ooh, they're cold, but maybe. I don't know, my furnace producing husband doesn't sweat as much in them, so I'm gonna go with maybe. We get our bamboo sheets, if you're local here in Minnesota, we actually go up to the Unclaimed Freight place in Mora and buy them there. They're freaking wonderful. You can't sleep at all. Okay, so ideally what we would like to see is ovulation happening around the full moon, because then you can see your partner and that's how that leads into it. No sleep. I would recommend, if you're not getting any sleep at all just before your period, is let's start with, what are you drinking? When are you drinking it? How much caffeine are you getting? Because if you lack the MTHFR gene, any amount of caffeine is going to screw with you. So we want to watch that. We want to get you into a nice bedtime routine. I know you're a writer, so how much does that mean you're in front of your computer? Do you have a good blue blocking thing? Stuff like that. I'd love to chat more with you on that one. But those would be the things I start with right away. And you might want to have, like, pistachios help boost melatonin. You might try right before your period, like reserving a melatonin supplement for that week or so that it is really hard for you to do it. Another thing to do is to help reset the melatonin is make sure when you get up in the morning, you go immediately and you start looking at the sun and getting the sun in your eyes. What that does is helps reset the circadian rhythms and when the melatonin is supposed to kick in. Best way to do that is natural sunlight, or get yourself a sun box and sit with it every morning so that we can start going, oh, this is supposed to be cortisol time, so the melatonin kicks in at the right time. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense or not, Danica. All right, one other thing. Good, good. So Danica, I would even encourage you to take it all the way out those weeks. The caffeine, take it all the way out. Because if you're already sensitive to caffeine, and for some of us, we just can't process the caffeine out, so it's best to avoid it altogether. Maybe substitute some matcha or chai tea or herbal tea instead of anything with caffeine. And I'm sorry. Being a coffee drinker, I'm sorry. One more thing, I always want to improve the experience in the Menopause Project, so twice a month, I'm going to be bringing in gals to chat with about topics that might be relevant as your nest empties, just this age and stage of life. Next Tuesday, I'm bringing in Liz Hand. She's a financial planner, especially for women our age, and doesn't mind the tough topics of dealing with family discussions and things like that. So that's going to be next Tuesday at 1 o'clock. The week after that, Marilee Smith is coming in from Amplifying Your Happiness. And the first week in December, I'm super excited for this one. Deanna Zach is going to come in and she's going to talk about her 50 over 50 project. And guys, how to take the perfect driver's license picture. Are you not? I'm super excited about that. If my driver's license pictures can start improving, I'm stoked about that. So I am on the lookout going forward for women. If you are that person or you know that person that has something really relevant to offer women our age, I would love for you to connect us. And if there's a topic in general that maybe you don't know someone for, but you're like, hey, Denise, I'm totally wondering about blah, 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 shoot me a message. I'm cool with it. Anybody got any further questions? I'm just about ready to sign off. Tell your friends about the replay. Feel free to invite them to the Menopause Project anytime. I am so glad you were here. Have a fantastic day.